But I just mean that, like, a bunch of people have jobs because of something you created.
Such a cliche, it's like a family. But if you come work at the Young Turks, I think that most people feel that way.
We're doing an all-day fundraiser, and we were trying to get to $500,000 so that we could hire our first investigative reporter to go next to Jordan Chariton. We were trying to get to $500,000. Can you refresh it for me one more time? Yes! Let's do it! You did it! You did it! The first investigative reporter that we're going to hire is Nomiki Konst.
Ben, I read your article today, and I was shocked by the language you used. You were saying that it's time for the right
call the police
to
right now.
fight. Yeah, no, but you read his column.
Evidence. All this is screaming and feelings.
I see what what Dana's doing here. She's taking an anecdote. You know, the reality here is
it's data. It's not real data.
It's an anecdote from the data. The reality here
it's actually Cook County statistics. I'm not going to let you brush this off with your lack of education on the topic.
These things are not for the people who are doing it to determine. It is for those who feel hurt. If you feel hurt,
that's fantastic.
I think people need to pay attention to defensive gun use because it vastly outweighs criminal usage. But that's not what gun controlists want to focus on. Yeah, we do. The CDC report commissioned by Barack Obama in 2013. Okay. Not only that, but FBI uniform crime reports in my book, Hands Off My Gun. Thanks, Megan.
Which says
listen,
that
if I'm in trouble, I hope Dana Lash is next to me. That's all I can.
We're way too strong. But since I was so excited for this first one, we've got a bonus for you guys. We hired one other person. We are super proud to announce that today we are also hiring Shaun King. Damn.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Here's a breaking news tonight. Shaun King, he is a leading voice for the Black Lives Matter movement, facing some very tough questions today and tonight about his own race. A family member tells CNN that both King's parents are white.
King claims he was terrorized at school for being mixed race, but a 1995 police report identifies him as white. Police also dispute King's claim that he was brutally beaten by rednecks in a racially motivated attack. Birth certificate obtained by Breitbart from the Kentucky Office of Vital Statistics also names a white man as King's father. Blogger Vicky Pate uncovered this photo of King as a child.
He tweeted once that he was the father to 4 daughters, and 6 months later that changed to 3 daughters. He sometimes says he's had 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5 spinal surgeries. Everything about this man's life seems to be slightly confusing or questionable or have some sort of fog around it, and I think his supporters, who have donated, by the way, something like $500,000 by his own estimation to his fundraising efforts, his own supporters want to know who this man is.
We're way too strong.
Now, as you all know, we did a journalism drive right after Donald Trump was elected. We said, you guys, we got to build the best investigative reporting team in the country. We had this audacious goal of raising $2 million, and you guys did it. I told you we're going to 13. I told you we're going to hire our next reporter if we got to 2 million, and I am ready to announce who that is. So, you always need a bugle call. Okay. It's Andrew Jones. I can't wait to see what Andrew is going to do, and all of our reporters, thanks to you guys.
I came forward about the racial discrimination that I unfortunately dealt with at the Young Turks. My time at the Young Turks was both humiliating and unfortunate. When I went to Cenk for help, he responded by telling me his old boss would tell me to shut the up and I should just deal with it. He also told me complaining about my discrimination complaints was something amounting to a fireable offense. I filed a complaint with the New York State Division of Human Rights. Their head of HR, Dave Kohler, wrote about black people in old blog posts, quote, "Poor black people sweating in the sun." Cenk Uygur also said this about Native Americans in those old blog posts, quote, "Those Redskins show up everywhere, there's a buck to be made." And both Cenk and David Kohler joined themselves in shooting bottle rockets at the Martin Luther King Memorial.
And according to an ex-employee, this $2 million drive was a scam. They ended up hiring popular people to raise their profile, only to fire them soon after. Not even TYT management knows what they actually did with the money.
We're way too strong. We want to hire many new investigative reporters. We want to unleash them. We want to hold Trump accountable. Now, we already have an investigative reporter. He's already broken many stories. We are holding the establishment accountable. The guy who's done that for us first, powered by our members, is Jordan Chariton.
I'm going to give you guys a statement about Jordan Chariton. I'm here to tell you now that Jordan Chariton has been fired from the Young Turks.
I guess the question is, did Jordan Chariton sexually assault former employees of Truth Against the Machine?
What we did in our internal investigation was we assumed what would happen even in the best case scenario for Jordan. Here's what we found. So he ran a side business and unfortunately used our company to effectuate that business. Again, we have nothing to do with Truth Against the Machine.
Jordan blackmailed and doxed me because I was going to expose the way TYT was spending money.
I was a former reporter at Truth Against the Machine. Having heard how Jordan speaks about women, I do believe these accusations are true.
Being Jordan's friend and his former employee, that personality-wise, 98% of what she said was true. Anytime somebody calls Jordan out on his misogyny, or anytime they won't have sex with him, you get fired.
Other people that left Tatum, he would threaten them with lawsuits.
On Saturday, I did a live stream delaying this interview with Carly Hammond. The reason why I did that because I received an email that had overtones and the I would say veiled threats and hints at a potential lawsuit if I were to have this conversation.
Z. Cohen was formerly employed at the Young Turks. She co-founded Truth Against the Machine with Jordan. She started texting me. She's like, hey, can you send me your article? Send me your website. And she's like, I really like your writing. Let me tell you about Truth Against the Machine. Chelsea and Jordan actually had sex in the shower when I was doing research in the room. And they also had told me beforehand, Carly, this is the last night that we're going to be in town. And when it's the last night, everybody gets drunk.
I thought Jordan said that only a couple beers.
If you want to substantiate the claims that there were just a couple of beers, well, how about you show me the TYT credit card bill from that night? He and Ty talked about maxing out the credit card a couple times, and they had to call Cenk and get it fixed. I was pissed drunk, and that was their goal. So Chelsea is on top of me at this point, and she is kissing me, and I'm when it comes back into my head, it's no, just no, no, I don't want this to be happening right now. At that time, Chelsea starts yelling at Jordan to wake up. She said, you're missing it. You're missing this. And she literally starts hitting him. I hear her hitting him. I don't see anything because I literally have my eyes covered with my hands. So I could just feel him touching me, starting to touch me. He put his fingers inside me and he performed oral sex on me.
Okay.
He tried to kiss me everywhere. Okay. He tried to pull my hands apart from my face. And Chelsea and Ty started just blatantly having sex in the same bed. And I sort of took my foot and pushed his face away. And I turn over on my side and I curl up into a ball and I'm crying.
So without going into what happened or did not happen in those rooms, for a manager to bring in women into his room and according to his own admissions, not only internally, but in posts that he then put publicly, have sexual relations with them is not acceptable. I believe in second chances. And so I hope and believe that he can learn from these, what I consider to be mistakes. And I don't want people writing him off forever.
To defend himself, Jordan wrote this blog on Medium, where he did confirm the orgy did happen, but said it was okay, because they only had a few beers.
We only had 2 beers. That's all we had, 2 beers. This big old orgy's about to happen in the pool, because they only had 2 beers. My sexcapade orgy that only resulted from 2 beers. Everybody ended up naked because we only had 2 beers. Get the fuck out of here! When he said that, we only had 2 beers. Y'all all should have laughed. He guilty. He is guilty as sin. I would have, that's the first, I'm like, bro, you gonna sit here and tell me with a straight ass face that you only had 2 beers, Jordan? Come on, bro. I know for a fact that he's had other victims. I know for a fact that he told somebody that he can't be with them because she was Muslim. I've had People tell like she couldn't, like that's why they couldn't be together. I could never have kids with a Muslim. In my opinion, Palestine isn't a country. There is no such thing as Palestinian people. He said this.
We're way too strong.
Now, while progressives and the Sunrise Movement are pushing for a climate debate among Democratic candidates, the DNC has just voted, and they have voted against allowing for a climate debate.
All right, so what can you do about it? Look, we're stepping up. A lot of people have reached out to us since then saying, can you guys do the town hall? The answer is yes. Now, the only thing preventing us from doing the town hall, honestly, is money. I want to give you an important caveat first, okay, which is that if, despite our best efforts, the candidates don't show up, well, then it's not gonna happen, right? So then we can't give the money back. If you're uncomfortable with that, I totally get it. There's just no mechanics behind that. We don't care. We're homo progressives, okay? So tyt.com/town hall, how's that going? Boom, 141,000, 5,040 individual donors. So I looked at an initial budget today. Yeah, it turns out we needed 200,000. Yeah, if we'd only gotten the 100,000.
You're not that great with numbers, I gotta be honest. I'm just keeping it 100, okay?
Do you know when I found out about the TYT Climate Town Hall? When I woke up and had tweets saying, you've gotta be a moderator on it. And I was like, on what?
You're not alone, John. There's a lot of people complaining that we didn't give notice on a thing that we came up with 2 hours before the show. And look, I've got a couple of candidates who say if others are willing to go, we'll come. So it's kind of starting to build a little bit here, but it is very difficult to put together when the DNC says they'll punish anyone who participates in a climate change debate.
We should be leading the world to a global energy transition, and you have a president who thinks it's not real. That is idiotic.
That's Bernie Sanders sharing his views on climate change from outer space. I'm just kidding, he was at the CNN town hall on climate, and he was actually a huge influence throughout the entire 7 hours that this took place. 10 of the candidates participated in this.
You have to give CNN a lot of credit. 7-hour town hall on climate change. Most of the experts that looked at it thought that they did a pretty good town hall. I'm just keeping it real, right? Keep it rolling, brothers. Oh, by the way, the Wolfpack film, done. Passed $50,000 earlier today. You guys are amazing. We were doing a campaign to hire a climate reporter. We were trying to get to $200,000. Here's my latest news on that. We did it! So we were trying to get to 200 by the end of the year, but we hadn't made it. We got up to 182, almost 183, okay? And so we're like, hey man, it was a good run, but it oh well, right? Until all of a sudden it hit 200. So what happened? Well, Mark Kellman, who's in Hawaii, I don't know why all the great guys are in Hawaii, but anyway, was like, I think I'm gonna top it off.
No, it's amazing.
Okay. So TYT members are unbelievable.